Good day, everybody. Brian here from quantlabs.net. In this video, I want to give you a situation that I never thought of, what's going on in China that's going to affect you if you're trying to be a high frequency trader and getting into that field. Two things I wanted to highlight here. First, I just posted two articles on my blog at quantlabsnet.com. The first one is basically 2 years ago. This article goes over what is typically on the C++ side, what is put in into an HFT trading shop, and how they develop everything in C++ and low latency with some of the techniques used in kernels and whatnot in Linux programming and data structures and whatnot. You can find the video here at the bottom, trading at light speed, designing low latency systems in C++. I think he's French with an accent. I don't know, but he works for Optiver. Okay. So that's number one, to really follow what's going on. Number two, I want you to pay attention to what is being traded at Optiver. Okay. Another video I put up is at the bottom here. This one goes over all the things that I put into my intro uh, futures and option course. The derivatives, they do trade equities, uh, namely ETFs included. When you go into futures and options, you always have the smaller micros in the U.S. major indices like S&P 500 and all that. Derivatives, foreign exchange, commodities. That's the majority of where Optiver trades. And it confirms what I've said for many videos now, is that you have to know that those asset classes and be a master at it when you watch what these folks are trading by watching this video. This is an Optiver, and this is universal in majority of the high, the profitable trading shops. But the number one thing is now this. As I said regarding the Chinese, the young Chinese folks in China who are not able to find a job. These folks are probably have an intellect beyond anything we can imagine. So here's a guy who put up a a library on GitHub on how to do metaprogramming. Okay, I've said this before, and I'm convinced that FPGA is a small portion of what the HFT shops do. Optiver is one of the leading ones that do FPGA, but I'm more than convinced that FPGA is a small portion of what Optiver does when it comes to their entire C++ operation. And I've also read in the last number of weeks that it's quite possible that C++ is preferred universally because it's more proven versus FPGA, which is higher risk, involving more expense, having to bring in now a new specialty type of talent, electrical engineers and the like. So it's a risk also for HFT shops. So I still think C++ is probably the preferred, more proven way on to do these. But again, if you watch that video on how they do it, it's this video you want to watch. Okay. And again, I'll put the links in my other link that will lead you to what to watch on on my for my blog. Okay. Really important stuff to really get a better handle on how things are working. And remember, Optiver is a European based HFT show. I thought they were based out of London, but it's basically they're based out of Amsterdam, I believe. Anyways, so let's go on with this particular really important library that put up. So this library is mostly completed. Uh, it's in a readable state. Documentation demonstrates his ideas. All in the README file is typical. Hello World discusses the metafunction composition in Boost MP11. Now, I'm not an expert in this. I'm just highlighting that this is really important to know the bane of what HFT shops are doing. So the primary concepts of his library called Conceptrodon, Conceptrodon or whatever. Um, So this guy's very talented, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But when you look at all the things that he talks about, inner structure, metafunction is transparent for assuming metafunction additional arguments for template head, template auto, then it must be a member template named Rail, whose template is blah, 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 blah. Here's an example. And again, when you watch that Optiver video, he also gives coding examples on how, from a high level, Optiver is doing it. And you'll see that they use a lot of templates, meta templates. And I've said that before. Meta templates is going to be the number one requirement now, required to get good paying jobs at these shops. Okay. Um, we instantiate the radio and argument, blah, 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 blah. Okay. With a bit of spice on trips, such a process is can continue. The composition looks like this. How to help? He's asking for help. Okay, this is important now, what you need to read. I am a 27-year-old jobless Chinese. I have a master's degree in pure math and familiar with Python, C++, and QWidget. I'm looking for a job for internship. So as I've said before, if you want to get a job, you have to post exactly this. Repositories on your GitHub on these type of topics to show that you want to work in these shops, because this is part of your resume now. I don't need much money, and all I want is an opportunity to prove myself in a professional environment. So now what he's asking for, and this is your competition now, where basically he's saying, I don't need much money. So the pay scales with the amount of Chinese probably in mainland China that can't get work are now going to start doing this, which will bring down the pay scale in HFT and C++ development because of the supply available, what's in China. Okay? So, continuing. COVID-19 screwed me over when I was studying in the US. His English is impeccable. I was not able to continue my education and had to learn programming on my own for the past few years. While I believe I have become a decent programmer, decent to put this sort of stuff out, I have no idea about what the job market wants. I'm looking for opportunities to improve practical skills. Please leave a comment if you have advice for me. I am completely lost and need guidance to move forward. And he's putting this out, and he doesn't know what he's doing. I think he knows what he's doing. Please talk to me. I code all day. I have no life. I am lonely. So his name is Beneficial Pumpkin. Who put this out? Beneficial Pumpkin. So what does this mean? You now got a so-called lonely guy who's willing to sacrifice day and night, 24/7 probably, coding all day. I have no life. This is a wet dream to HFT recruiters, okay, with this kind of quality of work. And he's willing to do it for like just decent money. So here's the responses. Cheer up, Buttercup. Sounds like you put a lot of time and effort and thought into this library. And I don't know. These can be sometimes insiders. You should be proud of yourself. Okay, so this is definitely a respected library now, found through the Reddit subreddit C++ group. Thanks so much. I've spent half a year working on the library. So you put half a year into this with no life, no nothing to produce this. I'm not in a good situation. It was stressful. Your words mean a lot. Take a look. If there's no UG close to you, you should share your work in person and discuss with others in your group. So this is now going to become part of his resume. That's a good idea. Really need to reach out to more people. So if he put this on a LinkedIn profile, and he built a social media presence or some kind of presence online, he will get the attention of the recruiting firms. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Okay. So look at this even further. More responses. I cannot help but wonder at some weird irony between the common and the extremely smart sounding title of the library. Yeah. Seems about right. Blah, blah, blah. The repo looks generally well made. That could be a recruiter right there. That could be the CEO of one of the HFT shops for all you know. Or who is George Haldane? I don't know. One thing that would be curious to see the documents in some kind of cool down to earth example. For example, if here's uh, that supports a few lines that we can make convert images to grayscale. It's not always trivial to come up with such examples, but I think they aid greatly in presenting a concept, kind of like the neat example section included in most Wolfram Mathematica docs. Okay, so this is important to know. Um, as a job, I can only advise keep an open mind for math adjacent stuff. Not sure it is currently in the US, China, but my experience, a lot of engineering and finance companies are cool with hiring math majors for for stuff like stats, numeric methods, and etc. Okay. So right there, I should look up who this guy is, George Haldane. Um, but cool, but finance companies, HFT shops include them, cool hiring math majors for stuff like statistics, numeric math methods, and etc. Let's see who this guy is. Um, let's see. Maybe we'll find a LinkedIn. I'm surprised he's using his real name, but let's just see who he is. Um, I think he's fake, maybe named after this general or whoever it is. Anyways, but there you go. So let's take a look at his repository. Conceptrodon, blah blah blah. C++ 20 metaprogramming language focused on metafunction composition. Lots of examples, something to work off of. So, as an example, we will make a metafunction make map, blah blah blah. Okay, so you can imagine how useful this will be, not just for people like myself, but um, on top of his career. Okay, I've stressed this so much. So the thing is that this guy needs to get some attention, and I think what he's got, he deserves whatever he's put out because he's kind of respected on subreddit C++ group, which is rare. So he is talented. But I just want to show you how competitive it is out there, especially now among the C++ developers or self-learning, self-taught C++ developers that have the time on their hands looking for work and the level of English that HFT shops may be interested in. Just a thought. And if you want to know more, as I said, uh, I'll put these links in the group. And if you want to get yourself a C++ book on HFT ebook, just sign up at the Learn tab here at quantlabsnet.com. Thanks for watching.